There are places in our world that defy logic. A bridge where hundreds of dogs leap to their deaths without reason. An island that appeared on maps for centuries and then vanished overnight. A colossal highway abandoned deep in the jungle. And a village that drowned beneath the water, only to rise again as a ghost town. These mysteries are real, and today we're uncovering the chilling truth behind them. Overtoun Bridge. In Scotland, hidden in the quiet town of Dumbarton, there stands a bridge that has puzzled locals, researchers, and even believers in the supernatural for more than a century. At first glance, it looks like any ordinary old stone bridge, designed in classic 19th century style. Tourists often cross it without giving it a second thought, but for dogs, this bridge has become something else entirely. It has earned a chilling title that no other place in the world holds: the Dog Suicide Bridge. This is Overtoun Bridge, built in 1895 to provide access to the Grand Overtoun House. From above, it looks peaceful and even picturesque. The stone arches rise gracefully. The view of the gorge below is breathtaking, and the surrounding countryside is calm and green. But behind this calmness lies a strange reality that defies explanation. For decades, dogs crossing this bridge have leapt off the edge to their deaths, sometimes hundreds of them. What makes this mystery even darker is the consistency of the reports. Only dogs jump, not cats, not birds, not other animals. And some survivors of the fall, injured but alive, have been said to return to the top of the bridge and throw themselves off again, as if something unseen is calling them back. Locals whisper about it with unease, and dog owners passing through avoid it in fear. So the question remains, why only here and why only dogs? Over the years, many theories have surrounded Overtoun Bridge. Some draw from Celtic pagan traditions and claim the bridge is a thin place, a spot where the barrier between the world of the living and the world beyond is fragile. To them, dogs are simply more sensitive to the presence of this unseen spiritual energy and are pulled toward it. Others insist the explanation lies in the supernatural. They speak of the White Lady of Overtoun, the ghost of a grieving widow said to haunt the nearby mansion. Her spirit, they believe, wanders onto the bridge and somehow lures animals toward the edge. Adding to the bridge's sinister reputation is a tragedy from 1994. A disturbed father threw his infant child from the very same spot. The horror of that act was said to have poisoned the air with dark, negative energy that now drives animals to repeat the same leap. But not everyone agrees with these paranormal stories. In 2006, an animal behavior expert, Dr. David Sands, carried out a detailed investigation. He noticed that beneath the bridge lies a dense patch of forest, alive with the scents of wild animals, especially minks. To a human nose, the air smells ordinary, but to a dog's finely tuned sense of smell, the scent of prey could be overwhelming, irresistible, and enough to make them leap without hesitation. Another possible explanation lies in the bridge's very design. The height and layout of the structure create an optical illusion for dogs. The solid stone walls make it appear as if the ground continues flat on the other side. So when excited dogs run forward, they may think they are chasing prey on level ground, not realizing a deadly drop lies beyond. Still, even these logical explanations fail to fully solve the riddle. If the cause is simply the smell of mink, why does the phenomenon occur only here and nowhere else in the region? If it's merely the bridge's design, why do the jumps happen in clusters, as if tied to specific times or conditions? And why have so many witnesses described a feeling of unease as they walk the bridge, even without animals? To this day, no one can say with certainty why Overtoun Bridge claims the lives of so many dogs. For some, it remains a paranormal hotspot, a cursed crossing, where unseen forces play with the instincts of animals. For others, it is a natural puzzle that science has not yet fully understood. But whether you believe in spirits or in science, one thing is undeniable. Overtoun Bridge is one of the most mysterious and unsettling places in all of Scotland. So viewers, what do you think? Is it haunted by spirits, cursed by tragedy, or simply misunderstood by human eyes? From the mystery of a haunted bridge in Scotland, let's now move to the Gulf of Mexico, where an entire island once appeared on maps, only to vanish completely, as if it had never existed at all. Bermeja Island, the vanished land of the Gulf of Mexico. If you look at old maps of the Gulf of Mexico, drawn by Spanish explorers in the 16th and 17th centuries, you will often notice a small island north of the Yucatan Peninsula. Its name was Bermeja, On these maps, sometimes its position shifted slightly, but it was always there, a small mark of land in the vast waters of the Gulf. The first official record of Bermeja dates back to 1539, when Spanish cartographer Alonso de Santa Cruz included it in his listings of islands. For centuries afterward, European maps continued to show Bermeja as if it were a permanent part of Mexico's geography. So what happened to it? Why does no one see it today? Fast forward to the late 1990s. Oil exploration in the Gulf of Mexico was booming, and the governments of the United States and Mexico were defining maritime boundaries, the invisible lines that decide how far each nation can explore for oil. If Bermeja existed, it would have extended Mexico's claim further into the Gulf, giving it access to vast untapped reserves. Naturally, this made the island a subject of huge political interest. The Mexican government launched 3 separate expeditions to find Bermeja. Ships scanned the waters, researchers checked satellite images, and divers explored the ocean floor. But no trace of the island was found. It was as if Bermeja had vanished into thin air. Finally, the Mexican Navy concluded that the island simply did not exist. That could have been the end of the story. But what happened next made it even stranger. In 1998, Mexican Senator Jose Angel Conchelo, a strong supporter of proving Bermeja's existence and expanding Mexico's oil rights, suddenly died in a mysterious car accident. Rumors began to spread. Was this really an accident? Or had someone silenced him? Conspiracy theories exploded. Some claimed the CIA deliberately destroyed Bermeja using advanced technology or even explosives to reduce Mexico's claim over the oil-rich Gulf. Others suggested powerful oil companies were behind the disappearance, erasing an entire island to protect their profits. In 2009, with far better technology, researchers once again searched for Bermeja. They scanned the ocean floor carefully, and what did they find? Nothing. Only sand and deep water. No signs of land, no ruins, no reef, no evidence that an island had ever stood there. Faced with this, some historians argued that perhaps the island had never existed at all. Maybe Spanish explorers centuries ago had mistakenly drawn a non-existent island onto their maps, or even intentionally added a phantom island to mislead rivals. After all, fake islands were sometimes drawn on maps as tricks of the era. But still, the questions remain. Could nature itself have destroyed Bermeja? Some scientists suggest rising seas or erosion may have swallowed it over time. Others argue that tectonic shifts or hurricanes could have wiped it away. Yet, for such a complete disappearance, there is still no geological proof. So what is the truth? Did Bermeja truly exist and then vanish? Was it a victim of politics and oil interests destroyed in secret? Or was it nothing more than a centuries-old cartographic error? To this day, Bermeja remains one of the Gulf of Mexico's most enduring mysteries, an island that appears confidently on dozens of maps but no longer exists in reality. Viewers, what do you think? Was Bermeja real and deliberately erased, or was it just a ghost drawn on paper? From an island that vanished into political shadows, we now travel deep into the jungles of Brazil, where a massive abandoned bridge lies hidden, like a piece of a lost city reclaimed by the forest. Viaduct Petrobras, Brazil's forgotten bridge in the jungle. Deep in the dense jungles of Brazil, there is a colossal concrete structure that looks like the ruins of a lost civilization. From afar, it almost seems as though a giant piece of a city was lifted from somewhere else and dropped here, right in the middle of the rainforest. It stretches over 1,000 feet long, with tunnels, towering pillars, and massive foundations. Today, the forest is slowly reclaiming it, vines wrapping around its walls, birds nesting in its corners, and silence echoing through its empty span. To an unsuspecting traveler, it feels haunting, like the remains of an ancient, forgotten empire. But this is not a relic from the distant past. In fact, it is only about 50 years old. This abandoned megastructure is called the Viaduct Petrobras, one of Brazil's most ambitious projects that never reached completion. The story begins in the 1950s, when Brazil set out to build BR-101, one of the longest and most important highways in the country. This road, stretching more than 3,000 miles along the coast, was meant to connect major cities and fuel Brazil's rapid growth. By the 1960s, construction was underway on a crucial section that would cut through the forest between Rio de Janeiro and São Paulo's Santos region. This section required an engineering marvel, a massive viaduct to cross the rugged terrain. Work began, and after 16 long years of construction, the Viaduct Petrobras was nearly complete. Concrete towers rose above the treetops, huge arches were set in place, and the vision of progress seemed unstoppable. But then, disaster struck, not in the form of a natural catastrophe, but an economic one. Brazil was hit by a severe financial crisis. Inflation soared, government budgets collapsed, and priorities shifted overnight. The funding for the project dried up. At the very last stage, when the viaduct was almost ready to serve its purpose, the government made a fateful decision. Instead of completing the connection, they rerouted the BR-101 to link with another coastal highway. The Viaduct Petrobras was abandoned, left standing in the jungle, unused, unfinished, and forgotten. For decades, nature has taken over. Moss spreads across its walls, vines creep through its tunnels, and trees rise around it, as though trying to swallow the concrete skeleton whole. What was once a proud symbol of engineering has become a haunting monument to failure. Today, the site attracts adventurers, photographers, and curious tourists who make the difficult journey into the forest to see it. Many describe the feeling of standing beneath its towering pillars as eerie, as if the structure doesn't quite belong to this world. The silence of the jungle, mixed with the echo of footsteps on concrete, makes the place feel alive, yet abandoned. For some, the Viaduct Petrobras is simply a forgotten piece of infrastructure, a project too expensive to finish in a time of crisis. For others, it is a powerful symbol of how human ambition can be overtaken by nature. In just a few decades, the rainforest has transformed the unfinished viaduct into something that feels ancient, mysterious, and almost otherworldly. Standing here, you cannot help but wonder, if nature can reclaim such a massive structure in just 50 years, what will it do in 100 or 1,000? Perhaps one day, future generations will stumble upon these ruins and believe they have found the remains of an ancient civilization that once thrived in Brazil. Viewers, what do you think? Is the Viaduct Petrobras simply an abandoned project, or has time already turned it into a modern-day lost city? From a forgotten bridge deep in the Brazilian jungle, we now travel to Argentina, where an entire town was swallowed by a lake and stayed underwater for 25 years, only to resurface as one of the world's eeriest ghost towns. Villa Epecuén, the ghost town that drowned and returned. Imagine a place where time seems frozen, where broken walls and crumbling streets tell the story of a tragedy no one could stop. In the heart of Argentina, there once stood a thriving tourist town called Villa Epecuén. Just a few decades ago, it was alive with music, laughter, and the buzz of holidaymakers. Families came here to enjoy the salty waters of Lake Epecuén, a body of water said to have healing powers even saltier than the Dead Sea. At its peak, more than 20,000 tourists visited every summer. But in 1985, everything changed. After weeks of heavy rain, the dam protecting the town cracked. The defenses failed. Within days, a wall of water burst through, and Villa Epecuén was swallowed whole. Homes, schools, hotels, even the cemetery, everything disappeared under nearly 10 meters of water. Families were forced to flee with only what they could carry, leaving behind their lives, their memories, their dreams. For the next 25 years, Villa Epecuén remained underwater. People assumed it was gone forever, buried beneath the lake, a place remembered only in photographs and stories. But nature had one more twist to deliver. In 2009, the waters slowly began to recede. By 2011, the ruins of Villa Epecuén started to emerge. What surfaced was something haunting, almost apocalyptic. Buildings were reduced to skeletons. Streets were coated in salt crystals, as if frozen in time. Rusted cars, broken furniture, collapsed houses, all preserved by the saline waters. The once lively town had transformed into one of the world's eeriest ghost towns. Walking through it today is like stepping into a nightmare. Silence dominates the air, broken only by the sound of the wind moving through shattered walls. Salt covers everything like snow. Pablo Novak, the town's last resident. When the waters receded, Novak, then in his 80s, returned to the place he once called home. He lived there alone for years, welcoming the occasional tourist or journalist who came to witness the ruins. His presence gave the ghost town a strange kind of heartbeat, a living witness to its story. Today, Villa Epecuén has become a place of fascination. Photographers, filmmakers, and travelers visit its haunting landscape, comparing it to Pompeii or Chernobyl. It is not just a ghost town, but a story of destruction, loss, and rebirth. A reminder that even in tragedy, history lives on, etched into the walls, preserved in salt, and remembered by those who refuse to forget. So what do you think, viewers? Is Villa Epecuén a cursed place, reclaimed by the lake, or is it a monument to resilience, standing as proof that nothing is ever truly lost? From a town that drowned beneath the waters and rose again from the depths, we now return to Scotland, where a single bridge has puzzled scientists and terrified locals for decades, as dogs mysteriously leap to their deaths without explanation.